Good day, everyone. So, this is the group of Geraldine Navarro and Fatma Nuska, and today we are going to be discussing simulation in developing a health teaching plan. So, before we get started, this is the flow of our discussion for today. So, what is simulation? So, simulation is a technique that enables adult learners to obtain skills, competence, knowledge, or behavior by becoming involved in situations that are similar to those in real life. This method of teaching attempts to address problems of real life conditions and to discuss them completely after the presentation is over. Nurse educators strive to meet reality in their practice laboratories. They find that nursing students often do not make the imaginative leap required to visualize dummy models as a realization. Barton's definition of simulation has been defined as an attempt to give appearance and/or to give the effect of something else. So role-playing in which the process of teaching is displayed artificially and an effort is made to practice some important skills of communication through this technique. The pupil teacher and the students stimulate the particular role of a person or actual life situation. The whole programming becomes a training in role perception and role-playing. So what are the purposes of simulation? So simulation helps students practice decision-making and problem-solving skills and to develop human interaction abilities in a controlled and safe setting. Another is by means of active involvement in a simulation exercise, a game or a role-playing situation. The students achieves cognitive, affective, and psychomotor outcomes. Lastly, students have a chance to apply principles and theories they have learned and to see how and when these principles work. So, simulation is the basis of sensitivity training, social drama, role playing, and psychodrama. It is not actually teaching, so certain underlying skills to teaching can be modified, described, and practiced like other skills. It is assumed that through role perception, the psychological appreciation of the classroom problems will grow and develop in the student teacher, a basis for handling the problems in the class. So now we are going to be discussing the uses of simulation in nursing. So the uses of simulation in nursing is that one, the nursing storage and the need to increase enter into the nursing programs. Another is increasing awareness of the need to address patient safety. Also, in the acquisition of communication skills, it also emphasizes on evidence-based practice and competence. Also, a need to supplement limited numbers of clinical sites. Also lowers cost of simulation equipments. Another is the ability of simulation to enhance clinical practice, to learn to solve problems efficiently with minimal wasting of time and resources, used to evaluate the student learning and competence. It is also used to achieve many nursing outcomes, and simulation can help nursing students gain skills in applying the nursing process. So there are three types of simulations: written simulation, audio-visual simulation, live simulated situations. So written simulation. Individuals uses either paper and pencil Latin image format. So the purpose includes problem solving and decision making. For audio-visual simulation, it is an entire simulation that can be placed on videotapes, management vignettes can be dramatized and films. And lastly, for live simulated situations is that It is simulated patients use their own history as much as possible, but memorized and added the elements of the history that has been created for the simulation. So simulation has principles. Players take on roles which are representatives of the real world and then make decisions in response to their assessment of the setting in which they find themselves. It is also experiences simulated are consequences which relates to their decisions and their general performance. The monitor that results of their actions are brought to reflect upon the relationship between their own decisions and the resultant effect. So now we will know how to apply simulation or the application of simulation. So the participant is introduced into the situation, is provided with information and opportunities to solve the problems, is exposed to a variety of potential solutions to a particular problem, given the opportunity of observing the results of his chosen line of actions. Also is introduced to the situation by film strips, given materials like, for example, books, reading materials, presented with role-playing situations written and response sheet. Then lastly, they have to identify factors influencing the problem, locate the relevant information, suggest appropriate alternative course of action, communicates and implements a decision. These are the procedures of simulators. So first, we have to select the role players. So in a small group of 4 to 5 students, teachers is selected. They are assigned different letters in an alphabetical order. The role assignments are rotated within the group. Every member of the group gets an opportunity to be the actor and the observer. Next is selecting and discussing skills. So the skills to be practiced are discussed and the topics that fit in the skills are suggested. Planning. So it has to be decided who starts a conversation, who will top the interaction, and when. So next is deciding the procedure of evaluation. This is how to record the interaction and how to present it to actors has to be decided so that a proper feedback and his performance could be given. Lastly is to provide practical lesson. So the role player should be provided reinforcements on their performance to give them training for playing their part well.
There are various activities in simulation. First, role playing. Second, games. That includes board games, which serves as effective and fun ways to engage the mind. For card games, it stimulates parts of the brain responsible for logical, problem solving, and memory retention, along with other functions, or other kinds of puzzles. Third, reading. Fourth, activities involving the use of hands. Fifth, physical exercise and healthy lifestyle. Maintaining a healthy lifestyle is vital for improving your memory. Just as our muscles need exercise to grow, so do our brains. Aside from eating healthy, getting a sufficient amount of sleep, and maintaining stress levels, it is important to remain physical active. Steps of simulation process by Goldstein and Pfeiffer in 1983. First is the experience. Experiencing or simulating the particular problem or situation. For instance, for our 5 participants, each one of them identified their own purpose of their exercise and its ultimate goal. Second, sharing. The participants share their experiences after the exercise. They share both their observations of what, when, and how they felt about activities or events. Often the feelings are very important to reveal their comments about objective events. Third, processing. Processing the information gathered during the sharing stage is generally accomplished with all the participants. The goal of these steps is to identify commonly shared experiences or perceptions and to identify common themes among the members. The fourth is generalization. The teacher guides the group into drawing a broad implication from the experience and resulting discussion. This is the most important phase of the entire process, and if it is left out, the learning will appear incomplete. Lastly, the application, which is the final stage of the process that helps the participant to apply the new generalization to future situations. Overall, application phase is designed to give the participants a chance to apply the new concepts, feelings, and ideas in real-life situations. So now we're going to be discussing the application of simulations. Simulations is an educational process that can replicate clinical practices in a safe environment. Nursing students who take part in education programs involving simulations perform less medical mistakes in clinical settings and are able to better develop their critical thinking and clinical decision making skills. The requisites for good simulations are the active involvement of all students. Clarity is the decision mode to be based on the clear effect and causes of the simulation process and resulting discussion. Visibility, it measures the cost in terms of materials, space, and time against outcomes. Repeatability and reliability, these are the qualities which are important because it is essential that simulation be repeated with the same degree of reliability relative to its outcome. This will improve the accuracy of learning as well as the credibility of simulation process. The values of simulation process. It enables the learner to learn directly from the experience, promotes high level of critical thinking. Simulation develops in the students an understanding of the decision-making process. It enables the individual to emphasize with the real-life situation, provides feedback to the learners on the consequences of actions and decisions made. It motivates the students by making real-life situations exciting and interesting. It enables the teachers and learners to assess the realism of the situation by uncovering misconceptions. So, for the teacher's preparation, first is planning. The teacher must choose an appropriate simulation and is responsible for maintaining the learning environment. Second, facilitating. After introducing the activity, the teacher should talk relatively little and must coach the students who are trying to find their way through a sticky problem and encourage creative thinking as well as act as an information resources. They take notes during the class so that in later discussion, the teacher can talk about weaknesses and strengths. Third, debriefing. The teacher should briefly summarize after following the simulation when the information is fresh in everyone's mind. While self analysis can help students gain insight into why they made certain decisions or took a specific course of action. At the end of the discussion period, the teacher should point out how principles and concepts have been applied and how the experience ties into the learning objectives. The advantages of simulation method of teaching. Simulation establishes a setting where theory and practice can be combined. It offers an excellent opportunity to learn from mistakes, fosters critical thinking and problem solving skills that help students to acquire concrete meaning for abstract terms. It provides a realistic experiences that students can easily apply these concepts in the clinics. There are no risks involved. The decisions are made and carried out without physical or psychological harm to children or school as a result of practice teaching. The controlled setting of the simulation makes it possible to have consistency in learning experiences from learner to learner. A teaching device that motivates, that involves students, it changes teacher behavior, that introduces freshness and novelty. While these are the disadvantages, Simulation can't be made in all subjects of the curriculum and can't be conveniently used in case of small children because mechanism is too difficult for them to follow. It requires a lot of preparation on the part of the teachers and minimum of feedback sequence to choose. It is time consuming that needs for many simulators. Simulation is costly in terms of both time and money. Simulation is a technique that can be overused. Acquisition of necessary factual content and would result in boredom. The process and outcomes of simulation methods are not always predictable. The learners may not find the simulation relevant to their situation.
And that is all for today about simulation. And again, this is the group of Geraldine Navarro and Fatma Nuska. Thank you very much for listening.